All right. Guys, today my guest is one of the most influential dancer, choreographer out of the Santa Cruz area. Now he's a now he owns a very successful dance studio, actually multiple locations, and it's Pacific Art Complex. This guy's multi-talented entrepreneur, and he's
Stop.
he's no, for real, man. He's a real self-starter. I mean, there's I almost want to use the word modern day renaissance man. And I'm super honored to have him on today's show. So I'm talking about my brother David Bortnick. Welcome to the show, bro.
Everyone, want to hold your applause for later. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. For those of you, because I'm going to share this too, who don't know Seach, Seach is the legend.
Oh, bro,
I'm
bro,
not saying
bro.
that I'm not saying he invented hip hop. I'm just saying like he was there and he was like
That's
with,
too much.
he's
No, no,
in
no.
with the people.
But for real, today it's about me learning about you, and also just sharing this with anybody that wants to join us. One of the things I really want to do is kind of document a lot of the Bay Area dance histories,
Hmm.
and it goes on without people knowing it. So hopefully this way we recorded it, and for anybody that wants to learn about it, it's there for them. Okay,
Put it in
so
the anthology.
exactly. Now, before we really get into it, let's just start from the beginning. All right, tell us how you got started, and then we're gonna take it from there.
Sweet. So yeah, when I was a little kid, I was like the kid who always danced. So like I just at weddings or like if music was on, like I was just the kid that was going. Um, and when I was about 8 years old, a group came to my school and did like an assembly performance, and it was like a
So wait,
couple
I'm sorry.
adults.
8 years old. Is that a second grade or something like that?
Yeah, so that was just like right about that second, third grade ish. And some of lit, and I was like young. I looked young for my age too, so I was a little dude,
Uh huh.
and it was like a couple adults and then a couple kids dancing together, and the kids were like close to my age, and the adults were super dope, and I just like I was like a cartoon character, like I was just like saucer eyed, like not moving wide eyed, and then at the end of the performance, they were like handing out free class coupons. And
Okay.
I walked up and this guy handed me a coupon. And it was like felt like I was meeting a celebrity, even though I had just barely seen him.
Yeah.
And that man was Gary Kendall,
Ooh.
who ended up being my lifelong mentor.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was just like, I need to take from him. I need
Okay,
to
so
do
I'm
what
gonna
he
stop there
does.
just for 1 second. For those that don't know who Carrie Kendall is, would you actually do the honors of telling everybody who he is?
Yeah, Gary Kendall was just a living legend for his whole life. He was a dancer from Seaside that danced a lot all over, but he was for a long time Bay Area centralized. He co-founded a bunch of groups, including the Jabberwockies. He really was a groundbreaking figure in musicality and dime stop and groove choreography, and he really like helped shape the new generation of hip hop going into the 2000s. And he
Yeah,
passed away. He passed away way too young.
way too young.
And now we carry on his name in a ton of different ways. A lot of his students, but we have GFAM now, which
That's
is
right.
our way of throwing conventions and like bringing the next generation of students together and teaching them about who he was and what he brought to the world.
Man, really want to thank you for that because a lot of people is either directly or indirectly touched by Gary, and you were one of the first one there. So I really want to pick your brain about that. But more so just your history. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Jason. Jay, what's up? What's up? We see you in the chat, bro. So all right, so let's get back to that day, man. So it was Gary, and you said maybe one other adult and few other kids at that time.
Yeah, I think it was a dude that he was like rocking with named Anthony at the time,
Okay.
and then like there was probably at least one other ones, and then I know there was a couple kids, but one of the kids' names was Jamie Jones, and
Okay.
Jamie was like a year younger than me, and he was just like one of the most naturally gifted, and I was just like, if he can do that, I can do. I just was
Right.
like, I need to be there, and I went and took a class, and I was just instantly, I went from like my first class to being there like almost every day of the week
Yeah.
within a couple months, and um, from that point on, that dance was number one in my life, and it was
Okay.
like that. I can just say that moment like completely changed the trajectory of the rest of it. And pretty soon, Gary, from his perspective, the way he told it to me is like he just got tired of adults and their drama, and so he was like, "I'm gonna take my two little white boys." So he took me and Jamie Jones, and we became this little trio.
Yeah.
And he just took us everywhere. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
even, like it was like over the next couple years. So like I was probably 10 years old and we were doing huge shows all over the Bay. Like whatever crew Gary was in, he had his two little tag along little kids. And we were
Yeah.
little. I mean, like we barely reached, like we were like past his knees. We were like these
Yeah.
tiny little kids. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been going through old footage, and at first we're a mess. We're a sloppy mess. But you can quickly see the progression. Like he trained us hard and like raised us up
Yeah.
really quickly.
No, no, no. I think you're pretty humble about that one, because I kind of want to step in and kind of give you a little bit of what I heard at back then. This is even before I met you. Before I met you, I heard from several other people like, "Oh man, Gary's got these two little white guys that are really, really good." So your name actually preceded yourself, and I really, really would love to, for myself to see those footages from back then. Now, before we actually get into that, I want to ask you though, when you first saw him and you fell in love with it, give us an idea of how much you practice, because I hear that a lot today, right? A lot of kids today say, "Oh, I love it. I practice." But I think by comparison to the dances that I know from back then, the intensity, the level of commitment, or the level of how much they practice, it's so different. So if you wouldn't mind, like, give a number or give an idea of how much you loved it, because everybody could say, "Hey, that's my passion. Dance is my passion." It's so easy to say that. It takes 2 seconds to say that, but really to prove it, what does it mean? Because you really show that you did it. Now, what does it mean for you to really love it? Which means, how many hours would you say, if you could remember?
Yeah, so like, and the biggest thing is that I think the difference now is people think like, oh, I go take 2 classes a week, I got 2 hours a week. And to me, like the class time was like my chance to like set up my lessons for the rest of the week or show what I've been practicing on. Like that was just like that was a small portion of my overall practice. It would be impossible to even put a number because it was just like it was all I did. I mean, like the recess, my dad said he came by the school one time and I was probably in fourth grade and all the kids were playing games and I was literally by myself in like the on the edge of the basketball courts just practicing tuts.
Mm,
And like
mm,
I could it wasn't like, oh, I'm so driven, I'm gonna do this. Like I couldn't stop.
yeah,
It was like a illness, an
yeah.
addiction. And there, that was the main thing. And even when I was doing other things, like I used to rollerblade, but while I was rollerblading, I had headphones in with my
Mhm.
Walkman and I was still gigging. Like it was
Yeah,
just a huge part. And then I had goals. It's like, that's the other thing I always say is like, if you have specific goals, like I wanted to get that double Russian kick, or I wanted to get 6 steps really clean. And so
mhm.
like, I couldn't stop until I got that goal.
Yeah,
Um, and then the second you get a couple of those little successes, you're like, oh yeah, no, you just do it all the time,
yeah.
you get there faster. So, but like easily like structured real practice, I would say the first couple years I was dancing easily 2 to 3 hours a day. Once I was started doing shows and we just started getting paid really young too, which was amazing. Like that really changed for me. Then it was like 3, 4 hours a day on
Mhm,
the weekdays, more than that on the weekends.
mhm.
So I was easily at 30 hours a week before I was 12.
That is awesome, and I hope everybody that's listening right now, if you are a student of the dance, whether you think you're beginning, intermediate, or advanced, this is a great uh, testimonial, from David, that gives you a good idea of what it really, really takes. And of course, if you do more than him, then you deserve it, right? But if you do less than him, then you'll see why. So all the students right now, really, really take notes from David, and I do too, man. You're successful not just in the dance, I know, but also the studio that you're running. Uh, Pac is really, really successful. There's a reason why you're expanding. And I'm kind of jumping back and forth. So why don't you just tell me a little bit about how you got started with becoming a studio, a co-owner, one of the co-owners of Pac, and why do you think it's so successful now?
Yeah, I mean, I really growing like people would ask me when I was younger, like, "Oh, you're gonna own a studio?" And I was like, I was just never interested in it. I watched studio owners stress so much and like make so little and work so hard, and I was like, dude, teaching's cake. So for most of my 20s, I just really didn't even have to work that much as far as like trying to grind for a dollar because I got paid well as a teacher. I taught 5, 6 classes a week, and then like the rest of my time was mine, and that paid the bills, which was amazing. Going more into my mid 20s, I started just getting a little bit restless and thinking like, oh, I want to do more. And then a studio in town was about to close, and I had gotten connected with the students, and they weren't going to have any place to go.
Hmm.
So me and a couple of the teachers from that studio and the staff members were like, well, we could do it ourselves.
Mm.
And I never thought of owning a studio with other people. It was always like, oh, if it was just me, I would go crazy. I would just work too hard. So doing it with a group of people, and the idea was like, we want to make the studio that we wish we had growing up, because so often when studio, uh, a lot of studios are around for a long time, and after a while, it's like you forget what it was like to be that student. And so I was like, dude, I want a studio that has like master classes every week instead of once a year, and like puts out marketing materials that people can really relate to, and starts doing like video production and like all these things. I was like, God, I would have killed to have that. So that's been our guiding light the whole time, is like, if I was 14 right now, what would I be stoked on? Let's do that. Like
Mm.
let's gear it towards, let's give them their vegetables of what they need, but let's give them the dessert too, and like keep them stoked on it. Because to me, the first step of teaching is like, you got to make people fall in love with it. If I can
Yes.
make you fall in love with hip hop, then all my other lessons are going to stick. But I could badger something into your head, but if you don't love it yet, then it's all for nothing. So
Yeah.
that's been the big thing, is getting young, youthful teachers. So like, granted, all of the owners still teach a lot, but like we're constantly training the next generation to teach. So
Hmm.
almost all of the seniors who are on my crew right now, they all have their own classes too. So, and that just gets the cycle going, where now
Yeah.
the younger kids see them, they're like, oh, well, they're a teacher now. And now they want to be that. Meanwhile, they're all dope choreographers. So we just have like killer young, the evolution of hip hop keeps going because the teachers keep going.
Yeah.
And then what's so dope is like, we've been open, it's our 9th year now. So we've
That's
been open
incredible,
long
bro.
enough for kids to go through our program, graduate, go
Yeah.
to college, graduate, move back, and now they're full-time teachers for us.
That's awesome, bro.
And so like almost every one of our staff is either like someone we came up with or
Yeah.
someone we raised.
Right. That's a great testimony to the success and to what you've created there. So that's awesome. Awesome. Hey, real quick, I want to jump over to this. I'm going to play a clip. This is a
Oh,
choreography
snap.
that you did. So,
Oh, snap.
but I need to mute the sound for the copyright stuff.
Okay.
But anyways, for our viewers, you guys get to watch this. And while we're doing that, David, why don't you talk a little bit about this choreography, and also who is here? All right.
Oh, I didn't even know. I had no idea what we were doing. Okay, so this is up in Truckee. This is my boy Ryan. So Ryan was another person who grew up with
Yeah.
Gary, and
Yeah.
this is one of his students, Jacob, who's just incredible. And
Hmm.
Ryan and I go. He comes down as often as possible. I go up. He's one of the other like 3 founders of GFAM.
Yeah.
So a big thing that we do is we are constantly trying to connect with each other's students, and
Hmm.
even more so trying to get our students to connect with his students, right?
Hmm.
So we've created this whole little hive ecosystem of the next generation. So now like we had a kid move to a different state, to Colorado, and like he knew 3 people from GFAM who had also
Hmm.
moved there. So the goal is just to like keep everybody connected. But yeah, this kid Jacob in the middle, he's nasty. He's so sick. And yeah, that was just like kind of a fun like piece. I don't know if you know Janelle Monáe, but she's
Oh, she's
next level.
awesome. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You did an awesome job choreographing that one. And Ryan, love him too. This is when you said G Fam, for sure. I was like, it resonates with me for sure, for sure. Um, okay, so I want to actually jump back to your, because I see you're not just a great dancer, you're just a great person overall. But I think anybody who's just a good person has to have some sort of a philosophy in life. And I don't know, maybe you could break that down and share with our viewers or our audience today. What's one of your core philosophy that you could share with us?
Okay, I have two, so I gotta break. I gotta do
Sweet,
two
sweet.
because one's about like they're both about personal fulfillment. The
Hmm.
first one is it's impossible to be fascinated and anything else at the same time. If you're
Wait.
fascinated with something, you can't be fascinated and angry or fascinated and sad. Fascination overrides everything. So like
Okay.
once you're fascinated with something, it's impossible to be depressed, sad. It's like fascination to me is like it's something, it's almost like a meditation. I always come back to it. So when I'm really
Mm,
frustrated or I'm like in a really difficult situation, becoming like, whoa, why do I feel this way? Okay, like why is this frustrating? The second I'm fascinated with it, it just like keeps me on an even keel. It also always keeps me striving for a more thorough understanding. So
I
like
see. I see.
I think that like to a botanist, a rose is so much doper than I will ever experience. Like the
I
more
see.
you understand a thing, the more beautiful it gets. So just never stop being fascinated with people, with things you think you already know, right? Like I've been
Mm.
working a lot on fundamentals and like, man, I just like figured out a different way to rock my Leo walks with this like steady rock feel. And I was like, oh my God, like that changed. Like I've done 1,000 Leo walks, but like it feels different all of a sudden. So
Okay.
never stop being fascinated with the world. That's like my
Okay.
first one. Uh,
Can I just kind of paraphrase that to make sure that I actually understand what you mean by that? When you say
yeah.
fascinate, because first time when you say fascination, I almost thought the feeling of inspirational. But now
Mm-hmm.
that I understand it, it's more like just questioning the curiosity, the
Mm-hmm.
curiosity of why, and
Yeah.
then I just want to get deeper into the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. Is that fair to say?
And it's like a combination between curiosity, but being excited about it, like being
Ah,
excited about your own curiosity, and like
mm-hmm.
just trying. When you see a kid and they're like discovering something new, it's
Yeah,
like me when I was watching dance for the first time. And you get those saucer eyes, like
yeah,
we forget how amazing things are because we're
yeah.
so desensitized. But like
Right.
I live out in the woods, and it's like God, I just walk out and like just checking out a tree, man. It's like those things are incredible. Like
Yeah.
everything's anything when you really inspect it is really amazing.
Right. Now, let me kind of question that a little bit. Okay. So
Mhm.
um, now I understand the fascination. It's pretty easy now and probably even back then, if your mind kind of, if you let your mind wander a little bit, you it's easy to kind of get disappointed. So for example, if you're trying to do a Leo walk or whatever move you're trying to do and you couldn't do it after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour, whatever amount of time is, you get frustrated. Then that feeling of fascination kind of decrease a little bit.
Mhm.
How do you keep from that and how do you sustain that fascination?
Yeah, I have different tactics for different things, but when it comes to something like that, there's a guy on YouTube. I always forget his name, but I call him the learn fast guy. And what he does, he goes, "Today I'm going to try to learn how to break a glass with my voice.
Mm,
This is hour zero, minute zero." And he'll
mm,
just start a stopwatch. And then he's trying and he's failing, like you or I.
yeah,
And he's researching and he has the whole time you see the little clicker. So like if he goes and takes a break, stopwatch, stop, comes
yeah,
back. And no matter what he has tried, I mean, he'll try to do a kickflip. He's never stepped on a skateboard. He'll try to do a wheelie. He can not even good at riding bikes.
mm,
Within 10 hours,
mm-hmm.
he's almost always got it. And within
Wow,
like 12 hours, like he can do it every time. So
right,
like the thing is that if you do something 10 minutes at a time,
yeah,
it'll take you a year to get to 12 hours.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
like but so the thing I remind myself is like you might be 3 hours in, to a 5-hour learning process.
Right.
If you just stick with it for 2 more hours, you're there. But if you
Ah,
drag that on for months and months in 10-minute increments, it's going to feel like you can never get there. So to me, it's like keep track of your progress too.
yeah.
Here's the other thing is that, like, say you're trying to improve how high you can jump, and you jump, and after a week you're jumping an inch higher, but you're not measuring it. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to notice that inch, right? So like to me, it's like figure out ways to like quantify your
Yeah.
progress. So you
Mm-hmm.
can, even if it's a little bit of success, you can be like, okay, I'm moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so often it's like, dude, I tell kids that all the time, like, you are 5 attempts away from doing this. And they're like,
Yeah.
really? I had no idea. I'm like, yeah, no, each attempt you have to go really hard, but like you're almost there. So a lot of times you're way closer than you realize.
Yeah.
But once you've done it enough times, once you've been like frustrated and like, no, I can do this, and then you actually do it, that's when you start to have faith in yourself. I always forget the root word, but confidence, the word confidence comes
Mm-hmm.
from a French word that means to trust. And
Mm.
confidence means to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like getting to keeping that fascination and keeping the assurance that you're going to get there
Yeah.
comes from feeling like you could never get there, and then getting there enough times where you're like, oh, I can always get there. I just
Yeah.
have to. It might take me 10 hours. It might take me 20, but I will get there eventually if I stick with it.
That is dope. That is dope. I think as you were talking about it, I kind of remember a saying. This one guy, he said, "It is impossible to stop a person who will never quit." And it's probably the other side of the same token of what you're saying is just constantly do it. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what's the second thing you're?
So yeah, the second thing, I've become more and more obsessed with like a sense of almost legacy. And really the thought experiment I do with a lot is like, and it's kind of, so it might be a little bit dark for some people, but for me, it just really like helps guide the way of like, if however many years from now I pass
Mm-hmm.
away and
Mm,
someone's telling a story at my memorial
mm-hmm.
about this moment right now, how would I want that story to go?
Mm,
Like, do I want, like, if say me and my friend are having an argument about something stupid and it's getting out of hand, it's like I want at my memorial that to be like, oh, he was the bigger man, he squashed it, whatever. Like, let your
yeah.
better angels guide you.
Yeah.
So, and if I have the chance to like do something rad for someone I'm not even that close to, or take the day off, for me, it's like, no, do the thing that's going to make you like an inspiration to someone else. So I try to go above and beyond for people in my life. And so often someone will be like, why are you doing this for me? And the line I always go with is like, my funeral is going to be lit. Like, you don't even know. You're going to hear crazy stories about me. Like,
Yeah.
and that's one of my biggest goals is like, I want to have an impact
Yeah.
on my world around me. And I want that impact to cause as much good as possible.
Dude, there's so many gold nuggets here, man. So I really, really appreciate that. And also, I really hope all the audience that are listening now, don't just listen at once, because sometimes when somebody give you such good stuff, you gotta rewind it. It's like a book, right? The
Yeah.
the the fifth time, the sixth time you listen to it
Mhm.
again, you're gonna be like, oh. So I really appreciate you saying that. Now, I know I'm jumping back and forth, and I think I'm keeping you on your toes with this one. So
Yeah.
take us back now. You mentioned that it was Gary that inspired you. All right. I know you got a lot more dance history than that. So maybe take us chronologically. After
Mhm.
that, who else did you dance with? And yeah, take us from there.
Yeah, so Gary was my main teacher. Once I got to junior high school, he was here. He started going on the road during the summers, and he would be there for some of the year and not all the year. And then he got to get more and more busy, and so he was teaching a little bit less. So in high school, I was like, I needed more dance, and Gary wasn't always there. So I started trying other styles. I started doing jazz and tap and ballet, swing, just like any style I could get. And
Mm-hmm.
I did not love any of them the way I love hip hop,
Mm,
but I loved all of them for the same reasons I love hip hop, right? So it was just like okay, this might be not my favorite, but it's like it's kind of close and it's making me better. Um, and then after high school, I I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't. I still wanted to be a dancer, so I went to Irvine, which has an amazing dance program as a dance major. And while I did not fall in love with the dancing there, it's very ballet heavy, very jazz heavy. Um, it was the first time people had gotten really real with me. Like
Mm,
Gary, to me, Gary was the better you were, or like the more expert or professional you were, the harder he was on you. But
mhm,
as
mhm,
like a kid and an amateur, he was supportive, he was nice. He'd like say his things, but he wasn't super harsh. And I got
mhm,
to school, I was like, "Why are you doing without your arm? Like I did this and you did this. Like what is that? That's not the
mm,
arm. I said there. Why not?" And so I had a rude awakening, and it was a really good thing for me.
mm.
Um, but I just didn't love the style. And meanwhile, I'd go up to Hollywood, and what this was 2002, 2003,
Okay.
the explosion in the evolution of hip hop dance. I think you can only compare it to what happened to jazz music in like the 20s and 30s, where
Okay.
it went from like this kind of like fun swing, like to like John Coltrane, like just unbelievable, the most complex art form ever created. So I watch hip hop go from like, hey, this is cool, like we're doing like
Mhm,
out in, to just like to me like this new precipice of what art could be.
mm.
And I was like, I can't let this pass me by. Like I have to
Yeah.
be there. So the second I booked a job, I dropped out of school. I was like, and it was honest to this day, I think the happiest day of my life, because
Mm,
the sense of like sureness I felt, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I've never been more clear on anything. Um, and so I bounced around LA. I auditioned for stuff, got a couple things. I didn't like have like great commercial success. I was little. I was like a really skinny, young looking. So I was getting like Disney kind of stuff,
mm,
Nickelodeon type of stuff. Um, and then I was bouncing back and forth between the Bay Area and LA. And then Gary, we kind of reconnected, did a random show, and then he called me up and said, "You want to go on tour with Monster Shop Bumpin'?"
mhm.
And I was like, "I will do anything you ask me to do." I was like, "I will shovel poop out of a ditch if you ask me to." Um, but yeah,
Right, right.
my first, the first Monster Shop Bump in, I met some of my best friends for life. Like
Yeah.
just that first rehearsal, it was Joe Gray, who was like my brother,
Hey,
Jamie
shout out to Joe,
Fraser,
baby.
who was like my brother,
Yeah.
Ray. It was like all these people who I've like
Yeah.
I've been and just in all in the same room for the first time. And
Yeah.
we did one show and it went okay, but um then like we started doing more. And then the second show I did was, I think it might have been Fresno, but it was with Fee and um I know there's a couple other the Jabbas that were there. I think Raina might have been in that one. And it was like the Jabbas were really just starting to be like everyone in the dance community was losing it. It was before the TV shows,
Yeah.
before but I was like, I cannot believe I'm dancing next to these people. Like,
Right. Yeah.
so but that was also another reason to be like, work harder. Like you
Yeah.
have to match these guys on stage, work harder.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and then then for like 3 4 years we every summer we'd be touring with Gary. And
Mhm.
that became the thing, of like teach classes during the year, tour all summer, teach classes during the year.
Mhm.
uh and then Gary's passing was like just really really rough on everyone, but
Yeah.
the entire like ecosphere, the Gary sphere, just everyone, like it went from like we're friends, kind of a family, to like we are family.
Sure. Yeah.
So that brought it all together. And then and then that was like what I went into my like, okay, I'm gonna try to be this for the next generation, and started
Yeah.
teaching much, and that like led to the starting of the studio.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring you back just a little bit, because when you said something that's really interesting, I had a question. Because you said you took other styles like tap and jazz and all that stuff. You respected it, but you didn't love it as much as you did hip hop. I wonder why. I wonder if it's because the style itself, or if it's because the teacher that you had. I mean, everybody else that's going to teach you is you're mentally and subconsciously we're comparing them to Gary, not just the style itself, but just being around Gary. And I kind of wonder because all of us, me and you, we've been around Gary, and I maybe you could think about it, like how much of that is, how much of you loving hip hop is because the style of hip hop, or because how Gary made hip hop and how you felt with that.
Yeah, and like it's funny because at the time I would have been like, it's a style. Like, I mean, I loved Gary, but like I was just like ride or die hip hop.
Yeah.
And like when I look back now, I'm like the hip hop from then isn't like the hip hop that was being made right then. Like it doesn't ring my bell anymore. Like it's cool. What's funny is that like the foundational stuff still does because that has remained in its form, right? So I've been transferring all this footage. I'm gonna send you a link to the folder, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's just like it's like the best hip hop in the Bay in '95, right? And so it's these crew after crew where it's like everyone just like they're going so full out, but like it's very simple.
Yeah.
Like it would be like, it's like a hip hop one level, and that was like the best. But then a locking crew came out in this show, and I'm like, that's perfect. Like that just as good today as it was then because it's its own thing. So when I look back on like jazz from that era, I'm like, oh yeah, that was like on par with where hip hop was. But I really truly believe that they were moving like this, and then hip hop just went like so it just surpassed everyone. Contemporary to me, like the new style of contemporary jazz is now in a fight of the like who's gonna push the next level because they're borrowing from each other so much. So I think there's a lot like contemporary was like, oh, hip hop, you guys are rocking the beat super sick, mine, and they just took it. But they have the ability to do. It's like if you're doing tricks on your feet, you're a contemporary. If you're doing tricks on the ground, you're a breaker. It's like they have this like a dichotomy there. But hip hop to me is also, I think it's the most dynamic style. I really truly believe it has the ability to express the widest range of emotion, to have the biggest impact on a huge group of people. There's, people say crowd pleaser as if that's like a surface level thing. I'm like, no, you're touching the hearts of people. And I think just it's also hasn't even reached its potential. I think hip hop still has a ways to go before the best hip hop dance will be made, which is exciting. Constantly we're like, God, now that's the best. Like every day could be the day the best hip hop dance ever comes out, which is like we're living through amazing times.
You mentioned something really interesting too. You said contemporary, right? And actually, before that, I want to give a quick shout out to Cliff. What's up, Cliff?
Cliff.
See you, brother. All right. So, hey, let's talk about contemporary, right? Contemporary, I think the traditional sense, average dancer, when you hear contemporary, you automatically think modern, kind of modern ballet-ish. How do you define contemporary today?
So it it gets a little weird. I'd say if hip hop is the goal of expressing the way the music sounds, which I think is like a kind of a blanket statement, then contemporary is about expressing the way a music feels.
Okay.
And the technique is different, but so to me, they start to be interchangeable, but there's a vocabulary of technique that is based in traditional ballet technique, where it's like you point your toes, you have these set of turns and leaps and tricks and kicks that you can do. But the freedom that comes with that much flexibility, right? And the ability, like you want your leg to go behind your head, you just put it there.
Yeah.
That's something that like doesn't exist in hip hop in the same fashion. So, but there's a group, Chibi Unity. I don't know if you know Chibi Unity. They're out of Japan, and they came and did Body Rock or Prelude. I forget. They came and did Vibe. It was Vibe Junior, and they shut it down. They won first overall. And the piece, if you look at it on first glance, you're like, that's not even hip hop. That's contemporary. And then if you go back and watch it, you're like, there's not a single piece of technique. There's not a turn. There's not a kick. There's not a leap. And there's these moments where they'll like hit this thing that is like, you can't do it if you're like a contemporary dancer who didn't train in hip hop wouldn't look right. So it's like, it's this weird thing where like, it feels like contemporary, but a contemporary dancer couldn't really quite pull it off.
Yeah.
And all those dancers on stage, none of them may have technique, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we're getting into a weird gray area.
Right, right. So it's not
Yeah.
so much about the style anymore. It's more about the, like you said, the feeling, right? And
Mm-hmm.
also, here's another thing I think about too is we kind of mix up lyrical, right? We say
Mm-hmm.
lyrical. What does it really mean? Just means dance to the lyrics, right? So if you just dance to the lyrics, it doesn't necessarily have to be ballet. You could lock to the lyrics. You could pop to the lyrics. You could do hip whatever you want. So lyrical and what does contemporary mean? It means modern kind of, right? Contemporary
Yeah, it's like the
modern.
newest. Yeah, it's like the newest version of
Yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah, the
like
names all get silly, right? Because it's like we could call it whatever. It's like
right.
and also like categories are just fuzzy. But to me, I think contemporary has the potential. Like the combination of the two, I'm really loving. There's a guy named Dylan Mayoral out of England, and man, this dude just moves like nobody that I've ever seen before. And it's like you could what I love about him is you'd watch him go and you're like, oh, that's like straight up. He's like that new school crazy combo. But then he'll go into popping, and man, his technique is just like clean. He
Mm,
locks, his technique is clean. He's got like he's a b-boy, but then when he's like a barefoot hip hop dancer, so he'll like
wow.
dance to like Ed Sheeran or some like just no drum songs, but like all of his little tick ticks are just so clean.
Mm,
And to me, I'm like, oh, cool. It's like this is new. I just like the idea that we're still like breaking new ground.
yeah.
That keeps me super excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too when I see those guys. Um okay. We talked about your philosophies and I take that as like your advice, right? Let's talk about because you've been dancing, you've been teaching, you're such an influential leader. You probably heard so many great advice and you probably given so many great advice. Now let's talk about what are some of the bad ones you heard.
Mm.
You've probably been to a lot of workshops and you've probably seen a lot of teachers, and this is for all the students out there that are, maybe if you're shopping around for teachers, one of the things I want to kind of arm them is, hey, how do you know when a teacher's good and how do you know when a teacher's bad, right? And there's some bad advices, there's some good dancers that I don't know if they mean to or they don't mean to, but sometimes the advice that they give aren't that good. And I don't know if you could share some. What are some of the advice that you've heard and you're like, that's probably not so good uh, to give out?
Yeah, I mean the biggest one to me is more of like an attitude of like if you don't press for sit with like, look, this is just my opinion. Like
Mm-hmm.
people who are acting like, no, this is the way.
Mm,
If you're looking up to that person, you just take that without questioning it. So I
yeah.
think that's like a big one of like, don't act like nobody knows. Like all
Hmm.
we know is what kind of works for us.
Yeah.
Especially when it's like advice about like what you should do.
Hmm.
The one that drives me a little bit crazy is like, nah, I don't do counts. As if like counting is a bad thing.
Mm,
And
mm,
man, it's not to say that everyone needs to count, but
right.
like if you don't count, you need to be on lock with your tempo and your rhythm,
Yeah.
because a lot of the same people are like, nah, I don't mess with counts. Will be like, yo, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. I'm like, wait, the 5, 6, 7, 8 didn't match the 1, 2. And
Right.
like you're not, the biggest thing that happens if you got a song like if you got a beat that goes, they'll teach it like boom, crack, tick, 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 crack. And
Hmm.
then you'll do it like that. Boom, crack, tick, 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 crack. And then the music comes on and it goes boom, crack. I'm like, wait, hold on. How are we supposed to know how fast that was? And like to me, it's like, oh, counting. Yo, Randy, what up?
What's up, brother Randy?
So like the counting to me, it's like that's your guidebook, and like you don't have to count, but if you're not going to count, you better go tick 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 crack at the same tempo, because
Right.
that, oh my god, it drives me out. So a lot of times when I'm at convention and there's a teacher not counting, that my students will just look at me and I'm like, that's on 6. Like it's like we have to, suddenly I have to learn it and then translate it.
Right.
But
Right.
but I get that like not everyone like counting isn't necessary, but you either have to count or you have to be locked in with your timing. I'm also a drummer, so like it
Yeah.
extra irks me because I'm like, it just like yeah, that part of my brain just like flips a switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm not around as much of the like other teachers these much anymore. So it's like recently I haven't heard a whole lot where I'm like, wait up. And
Hmm.
people are really careful about what they say now. I just think we're in a another like phase of public appearances where people like don't want to get put on blast as much.
Hmm.
So I mean the biggest thing that I always tell people too is just less with advice and just behavior of like be be aware of your surroundings and be aware of what someone's asking from you. Anytime someone says for the exposure, alarms should be flashing in your head. You know, if
Hmm.
like if someone asks you to do a show because they're your homie and like your guys are cool,
Yeah.
great, do it. If someone you don't know is trying to get you to a show and talking about how great the exposure is going to be, most of the time they're trying to get free labor.
Mm.
So just being careful as to not, I got taken, a lot of dancers get taken advantage of because we love what we do, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we provide worth and we bring something that there's a reason people get paid to do this. It's because it's worth something.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, watching other people profit off it and not give back. That's the thing that I try to teach students a lot
That's
is like
super important.
beware.
That's super, super important for sure. Thank you for mentioning that too. Um, I want to ask you a little bit more. I don't know for sure, and I want to ask you now. Were you ever in culture shock?
I
I
was
thought you
actually
were, right?
I was in Culture Shock San Francisco from like 95 to 97 around there.
Uh
So
huh.
this is when Eric and Sarah were doing it. That was a funny one. Gary was this was like in the Gary takes us around. Gary joined Culture Shock with us, and then something happened. I was a kid, so I don't know what went down, but
Yeah.
suddenly it was like Gary's not going anymore, but your guys' word's still cool to come. So we just went. I did it for like a year without Gary, but that was huge for my training because the stakes were a lot higher up there. We were doing like 49er shows. We were starting to
Yeah.
do bigger things. And then I did City Slam with Ronnie Reddick after
Mm-hmm.
that, which
Mm.
was Daly City, which was like a little bit closer than going up
The
to San
San
Francisco.
Francisco. Yeah. Yeah.
My parents are amazing. They drove me twice a week from Santa Cruz to San Francisco for
Man, that's
years.
really important too, because I mean, obviously, having supportive parents helps, right? Now, if your parents weren't that supportive, how would you have done it? I mean,
I mean, what I did, I couldn't have. I mean, it would have been damn near impossible to
yeah.
the opportunities they gave me and the way they supported me is like, that's why it's like they call me and say their sink's broken. I'm going to fix their sink for the rest of us. Like I owe them forever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now,
but
that's a great son. Now,
yeah,
the question now is, did they dance themselves?
not at all. And this is
Okay.
what my parents were great this way. My youngest brother now he's starting to blow up in the rap world. He's in a group called the Ugly Boys, and they started on TikTok, but now they got like 100,000 Spotify subscribers.
Wow.
Or really like, but so like now my dad's like all into rap, and he's like researching rap music. And my older brother was a wrestler. Like my dad doesn't know anything about wrestler. He's at every game, so it's like whatever the
Wow.
kids were into, they jumped in. And yeah, he's a dance expert. Just ask him.
Wow. 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 That's great. I mean, obviously your parents are very successful in raising you guys,
Yeah, they
and
did great.
this goes to show, right? You don't need to have parents who are have background in dancing to be successful in dance. Just as long as they're very supportive. Yeah.
Again, I'd say the vast majority, because now I mean I have a lot of students, and a lot of my students right now, especially because it's COVID, so it's the once a weekers, the rec kids have kind of shrunk down, and now it's like it's just the core.
Hmm.
These are kids that I've been teaching for 12, 13 years, so I know all their families.
Yeah.
Very few of them have dancers for parents. Like almost
Hmm.
all their parents were just like a kid wanted to dance, I let them dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It doesn't. It can work down generations, but it also can just spark in anyone.
Right. Right. Before I forget, I just want to make sure everybody that's listening right now, you know that David's out of the Santa Cruz area. So if you yourself, you got family that are interested in learning to dance, uh, PAC, Pacific Art Complex, that's where it's at. We'll probably put a link down so that people can go check it out. Again, there's multiple locations. There's Santa Cruz, there's Watsonville, and I know there's another one opening up somewhere.
Monterey. Monterey,
Monterey, baby, Monterey. So
you know, things are weird with COVID, so we're running basically can't run classes right now, which is like a weird thing. We can do outside classes, and for inside we can only do like almost like day camps where they come. It's a one small group of kids that comes multiple days a week, so that it's like there's no mixing. So we're in Marina right now, and we're just doing camps down there. But yeah, we're floating. we're gonna get through it one way or another.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, David, I'm going to move to a different section. This is called This or That. All right.
Oh, wow.
And you basically choose this or that.
Okay.
You can justify your answer if you like. You don't have to. So there's no wrong answer. Okay. All right. Here we go. This or that. Toilet paper over or toilet paper under?
Under. I did imagine it in my head, definitely.
Uber or Lyft?
Gotta go Uber. It's just the one that's on my phone.
Soup or sandwich?
I'm going with sandwich.
Is there a good sandwich shop down there in Santa Cruz?
Ooh, there's Seabright Deli. That's the new one. It's the hottest. See, it's like new, and they're blowing up the game.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check it out, David. Meat or veggie?
I'm a carnivore. Chicken. I learned from the best.
Right. Text or phone call?
I'm going phone call because I hate long text. But if it's short, then it's like it depends. But if there's anything more to say than like if my answer is more than one word, it can't be like yes or like on my way. Phone call. It's always
yeah. Makes sense. Shop online or shop in store?
Right now, online all day. I'm an Amazon.
What about before COVID?
It's a little bit of both. I still shop online plenty.
Okay.
I shop online more than in store. I have most of what I need. Ooh, actually, that's not true though. Home Depot, that's my happy place. I'm at Home Depot at least 4 times a week.
Which reminds me, I forgot to say, you are like a freaking carpenter dude, man. Like
that's my new passion project. Though I'm starting to get into 3D printing. So that's the new passion.
Right. See what I said earlier? I wasn't lying. You are a freaking true modern day Renaissance man, brother.
Fascinated with the world.
yeah, that fascination you're talking about. That's exactly it. You know, every time I kind of catch up with you, you're always on something new, which is awesome because it, you know, inspires me to get better too. So
appreciate that.
Excellent. All right, moving forward, we have strength or flexibility.
Well, I'm not flexible, so I'm just going to say 100%. It doesn't matter, but strength is just, that's where it's at, dude. Strength.
All right. Day or night?
This is switched. I'm a day man now. I get up before the sunrise almost, I'd say like 99 out of 100 days.
And when were you more of a night person?
Until I was 31. 31 was the switch.
Yeah, I know, man. We're getting old, huh?
Yep. Yeah, 3D printing. This is I printed this it's an everlasting gobstopper.
All right, moving forward. Facebook or Instagram?
I'm on Instagram more now. I'm on Instagram more. Content, people dance gets me over there.
Yeah. Jackson 5 or New Edition?
Got Jackson 5 hands down.
Jackson 5. All right. Here's a little bit of a quiz for you. All right.
Okay, let's go.
Can you name all 5 Jackson 5s?
Oh, probably not. No, definitely not.
How about all New Edition members?
No, I failed both those. Honestly, it's like New like both of those are before my time, really. Like
Ah,
the first memory I have of buying an album was Dangerous.
okay, okay,
So it was like a little bit later.
yeah.
But I don't know if I could name all five members of any boy band.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Moving forward, Sammy Davis Jr.,
Mm,
Nicholas Brothers.
I'm going Nicholas Brothers. I just
Nicholas.
really dig jazz splits, you know?
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're all legends, man. So for sure, NSYNC or Backstreet Boys.
Dude, I mean, Backstreet's definitely back all right, but no, in sync, dude.
NSYNC. All right, pancake or waffle.
Waffles, hands down.
Hands down, huh? All right. Music or podcast. Now, this is more of a. I got to rephrase this one. This is more for while you're either working out or driving.
So
Because
I listen to music while I'm teaching all the time.
yeah.
So I don't listen to music unless I'm cleaning or doing something like intense. But
Mm,
I listen to about 2 or 3 audiobooks a week and a ton of podcasts.
nice,
I did 100 audiobooks last year. I'm proud because
nice. Wow.
I charge.
That is awesome because I try to do as much audiobooks as I can every time I drive.
Mhm.
And, for me, I heard it somewhere and I'm going to use it myself. It's called Drive Time University.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
uh, you can tell, I mean, I can tell when somebody is constantly seeking for knowledge, such as you, because I don't know if you could do it, when you talk to somebody, you could tell like, hey, this person's on a level where there's always trying to get better.
Yeah,
And
I get defensive because 'cause I'm like, "You're trying to steal my knowledge." I'm like, "No, it's mine." No, I'm just kidding.
right. So on top of that, now what are some of the latest podcasts that you've been listening to?
So, for politics, I gotta go with Pod Save America. Those are my dudes. Um, I listen to for science stuff lately, it's been Stuff You Should Know, which is
Ooh,
great.
yeah, one
A
of
lot
my
of people should
favorites.
know. But
Yeah.
Radio Lab is, like, my all-time favorite science podcast, but they don't they're rare, so, then I found a new one called Philosophize This, and it's just all, synopsis of famous philosophers, so it's like
Mm,
you get like Kant in 3 episodes.
mm,
That one was really great. But yeah, and then every day, every morning, I do uh, Up First NPR. That's like my morning start.
mm. All gold nuggets, man. All gold nuggets. Thank you for sharing that, dude. All right. Next, air or water?
You know, I don't drink enough water, and I do breathe a lot of air, so I'm going air.
hmm hmm All right. Break or be street?
Breaking, Breaking's just like the classic one to me.
Okay.
I heard there's coming out with a Breaking 3. They were filming it in
I
the Bay.
heard that
I
for a
know.
long time.
I don't know what's happening with them. They were doing open calls.
Right, right. Now that ozone is gone,
Yeah, I wonder if that'll change.
yeah, right, right. All right, let's move forward, and we have peanut butter or Nutella.
Dude, I'm a peanut butter fiend, hands down. I will straight up just jar. You know, I
Is
call it
that right?
the poor man's Reese's is just spoonful of peanut butter, sprinkle some chocolate chips on there. That's like
Ooh.
perfect midnight snack.
All right. Prince or Michael?
Oh, I know way too many Michael Jackson songs by heart to not say Michael.
Okay.
But this goes down. I will say caveat. I have a special philosophy that I completely separate the human being from the art that they make. If I'm
Mm,
like, so there are film directors that I do not like as a person. I love their movies. And
mm.
I always tell people, like, if Shakespeare was a dick, I wouldn't not read Romeo and Juliet. You know, I
Right,
found out
right,
Mozart was like a terrible human. That doesn't change the beauty of what they did. And I
right,
heard someone say once, like, once you put something out into the world, that's the rest of the world's now. Like, it's theirs. So,
right,
like,
right.
you don't get to like own it in the same way anymore. So, can't vouch for Michael all the way down, but one of the greatest of all time, no
For
question.
sure, for sure.
Friends too, but yeah, Michael's the reason. He's also the reason I started dancing. I was obsessed with Michael
Yeah.
Jackson.
Can't argue there. Can't argue there. Yeah. Okay. Iced coffee or hot coffee?
I'm an iced coffee man.
Passenger or driver?
I'm a passenger in a car like once a year, so I'm gonna say driver all the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. iOS or Android?
So this is a heated conversation for me because I absolutely don't like Apple
Oh.
computers,
Uh-huh.
but I only mess with iPhones. I've never found an Android that I even like the feel of. So I'm on my 12th iPhone, but I
Mm-hmm.
will never own a MacBook or I'm all PC for computers.
Wow. Wow. I think you're
Cool.
the first person I heard that's like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I think
iMessage is the biggest one. Because everyone in my crew has a an iPhone.
uh-huh.
The text messaging group, the
Yeah.
settings, iMessage is just wonderful. It works great. But yeah, no, I probably should have made the switch a long time ago, but now I'm like, I'm too deep. I'm too deep.
All right. All right. Yeah, because I think I started with iPhone, and I just got tired of them, purposely slowing down their iOS if you don't buy the new one.
I know. Oh, I know. But here's the thing: is like people give me crap because I buy a new phone at least every other year, and I'm like,
Okay.
dude, I buy a new laptop every couple of years, but like I use my phone all the. This is a laptop, and I use it every day, all day long. Why
Hmm.
spending even if it's $1,000 every 2 years? That's like I'd spend a lot of money on hardwood to make boxes. Like that's just not. It does not. Yeah, the equation's there for me. I'm a phone.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's move forward. Rhythm or balance?
Mm, I'm going rhythm. Rhythm. 'Cause partially, it's just like such a huge part of my style, especially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dog or cat?
No explanation. Dogs.
Cardio or weights?
Mm, neither.
Neither.
I sit and I burn calories through meditation.
Ah, okay. Basketball or football?
I'm more of a basketball fan, but I cannot claim to watch basketball besides when the Warriors happen to be on.
Right. 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 Horror or comedy?
I like horrific comedies. No, comedy for sure.
Comedy for
The
sure.
only horror I like is the horror that's funny. So
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So what is maybe one of the last um or one of your favorite comedians?
So yeah, is there anyone new that's been rocking my world? I was really late to the Bo Burnham Club. So I've
Oh.
recently discovered Bo Burnham, and that dude's just brilliant on a whole nother level.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I like some classic like Jerry Seinfeld, man. There's something about that dude
Mm.
that's always just like it's pure and amazing.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I'm I'm trying to think of Will Ferrell. I mean, that's like some more stand up, but
Mhm.
not stand up, but yeah, Will Ferrell is always going to be like one of the funniest human beings on the planet
Mhm.
to me.
Good, good. All right, moving forward. Dine in or delivery?
Hmm. Dude, I'm
Pre
going
pre
option for
pre-COVID,
three.
pre-COVID.
I'm going to option three. I'm a takeout man.
Oh, okay.
So like I call, I pick up on my way home.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Well, they don't have a whole lot of delivery options in Santa Cruz, though.
Right, right, right.
If we
Okay.
did, I'd probably be lazier, but yeah,
All right. Mayo or mustard?
mustard,
Mustard. Taco or burrito?
burrito all day,
All day. Salsa or bachata?
salsa.
Yeah. Car or truck?
I drive a mom car that I treat like a truck. So I'm gonna say truck, but I don't actually have one. But I treat my mom SUV. I literally don't have back seats. I put like plywood, and now I just treat it
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's definitely a truck for you. All right, motorcycle or
a truck.
bicycle?
Oh, I have become a fan of scooters. I went to Europe for the first time a couple years ago, and we
Mm,
rented scooters, and so I bought myself a little rent rent, and that's my thing right there. So
that's cool. Yeah, man. I when
they're
I think
fun.
of that, I kind of think of I don't know, some of the YouTube traveling YouTube channels. I think it'd be so fun to live somewhere around there, maybe like the Far East or something, where you could just get around with the what they call
With
it,
the scoot,
scooters
man.
or
Scoot
mopeds, whatever
life.
you call them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. They're super fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right, funny or smart?
I think oftentimes they're the same thing, but I'm a smart dude. I like smart,
Smart.
smart, smart.
Now, let me ask you this. So, if you're looking for a girlfriend or someone to date,
Hmm.
which would you rather have? Which would you rather, would you
I got
rather?
Yeah, I got three just deal breakers, and I've tried to do the have two and not the other, but
Ah,
it's funny, smart, and I have to and attract, and there's some chemistry. And
okay.
I was hanging out with this chick who's gorgeous, super smart, and I don't know if she wasn't funny or she just didn't think that I was funny, but like I know that I'm not the funniest dude, but like I get a good one in there, and I hit a
Right.
couple good ones. And I was like, I got nothing from you. And it just killed it. It's like this isn't gonna work. I realized I didn't realize
Ah,
deal breaker.
right.
But yeah, all three. I gotta have the chemistry, the funny, the smart. I can't go with it's yeah. Without that,
Yeah.
I can't get sucked in.
Well, okay. So, how about this? I mean, the funny part, if she laughs at your joke, that's different from her being funny, though, right?
Well,
So,
my jokes are deep sometimes though, so you have to be funny just to get that it's a joke.
okay.
Because I can get layers of onion down there, you know?
Right, right. But what I'm saying is, um, it's one thing when the girl appreciates that you're funny. So I think that's kind of easier to get along with, right? Like you
Mhm.
could be the funny guy and she could kind of be the audience. Does she need to be funny for you to be with her?
Mm.
You know
So
what I mean?
no, no.
Okay.
There's just got to be humor between us.
Right, right. There's got to be laughter. There's got to be smiles.
Yeah.
She's got to understand your funniness, and
Or
but she doesn't
she's
necessarily.
yeah. I've never met anyone who didn't laugh at my jokes, but I laugh at theirs. But that's probably out there, and that would rock my world. I don't know.
Ooh.
That would really throw me, and I'm game. I'm
Yeah.
ready for
Right, right, right. Yeah.
put
All
me in my
right.
place.
All right. Let's move forward. Here we go. Money or free time?
Mm, you know, like my instinct is to say free time, but I don't like value. To me, it's like I constantly want to break your system and go off the list, and it's like accomplishments.
Yeah.
That's the third one, and like to me, that's more important than money or free time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like it's like, what do you want to do? But yeah, free time over money for sure.
Okay. All right. Blue or red?
I go blue.
Okay. Yeah, there's really no, I mean, it's up to, I thought about this question, right? Especially that election, just happened. And it's easy to kind of assume like,
Oh, Mo, I didn't even think about that. Real talk. That's crazy. I suddenly like I looked around my room and I was like, I got a lot of blue stuff, and I was like, I don't wear red shirts, but like I'm a hardcore lefty liberal, but like I don't know if that's just ingrained deep in there, but I didn't even
yeah,
take it on a political level, and
right.
that's dope.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 because there's a lot of symbolic meaning, right? So we were talking about different parties, and we could also talk about Crips and Blood or whatever. So um, when I asked this question, it really didn't have any association with it, but it's more of however you interpret it. And sometimes I remember Gary liked blue. He just liked the baby blue. I think that was one of his favorite color. And I remember Skeeter Rabbit. He's a Crip, so he goes he goes blue, right? But then we got some other friends who were Bloods and stuff, and you know blood. What does blood mean? Blood in like Chinese, Chinese New Year. Red is I don't know if it's a symbol of wealth or happiness
Hmm.
or something. So everything has its own meaning. I'm
Yeah.
just curious to see how everybody breaks it down. Yeah.
I usually, when people ask me what my favorite color is, I stole this from Fee. I just say clear. Clear is my favorite color.
Clear. Clear.
Clean answer.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Ooh. Tupac or Biggie?
God, why? Why are you doing this to me
Why?
right
I
now?
know.
Um,
And there are no wrong answers, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think Tupac was to me, a more important figure, but I listened to way more Biggie than Tupac. Like, I put
okay.
on Biggie on a regular basis.
Mm,
I, I rock Tupac. I'm not like, it's rare that I'm like put on a Tupac song on my Spotify,
yeah.
but Biggie hits the playlist more often for me.
Right. Right. All right. Well, brother, that was it, man. You did awesome, bro.
Dude, I was like,
You
I was
killed it.
worried. I thought you were gonna like find that one picture that we agreed we weren't talking about. Gotcha.
We'll say that for next time.
Yeah, I guess I so I just want to say, like, I am. I've been digitizing just a ton of footage, and I'm working. I want to link up with you, but I'm hoping that soon. I think the people who are signing on for this will really dig it. I want to create like an anthology website that just has tons of links to videos
Yeah.
and come up with some kind of way of tagging people and crews.
Yeah.
Because man, oh man, I got some heaters in here, Sweet. I got like old
Dude.
school, like Barbara performances and like
Wow.
all the right moves performances and like yeah, from 94 to 99, I just got like a ton of footage that no one's ever seen before.
David,
So
that's gold.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's gold
yeah,
nugget. I see what's
yeah,
going. Ooh, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So
Dude, I got I
we
got some ones where we're gonna be like, what? Who? I got one of Kim singing. I didn't even know Kim could sing until I was like, oh, of course Kim Batiste can sing. Like, look, she just like has that kind of power. But yeah, she's singing like she can go. Yeah.
wow.
But so I have it all right now. It's just like kind of labeled, but I have it all in a Google Drive folder. So I'll share that with a couple of the homies and we can throw it around because it's fun. There's some
Man,
fun.
that's gold nuggets. That's gold
Yeah.
for sure, at least for me. So for sure, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now, what I want to do real quick for everybody out there, I hope this is okay for us to share.
Let's
This is your
go.
Instagram, okay? So anybody who needs to get a hold of David, again, if you're out in the Santa Cruz area or Watsonville or Monterey area, and you're looking for a dance studio, this guy, this man right here, this is the man right here. So Instagram, follow him here, David, David Bortnick. Okay, so go ahead
I
and
got
add
on
him.
early. I got my whole name, dude. I was an early adopter.
Yeah, you got it, brother. So right here, I'm just gonna scroll down real quick so everybody
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
There's
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
tons of good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. This is my
Tons.
animation. I've been getting into this animation world. It's fun.
I'm telling you, man, modern day Renaissance, man. Our
Yeah,
boy Ryan right there. So many good stuff. I mean, your students, you got a lot of talented students. So everybody go check it out and definitely add David on Instagram.
let's blow me up, dude. I'm trying to blow up. I got a student now that's got like 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and like he's getting a big. Like I gotta like step it up so that I can like
I
put him back
know.
down in his place.
Now, before we leave, I kind of want to just pick your brain one last time, if you can, for dance students now, for dancers or students of dance. What is something that immediate that they can do to get better? For people who feel like they're plateauing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because so often we get in, as dance students, we're like, dude, I feel like I'm plateauing. I'm practicing this, and I'm not getting better. Maybe if you can think of something that they can do immediately to kind of get out of that funk, get out of that plateau, what would it be?
I have so many, so I'm trying to like choose the best ones.
Yeah.
Like the two that come to mind just instantly is like have specific goals. Being like,
Yeah.
I want to get better at popping, that's not specific enough. Being
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to wave like this person in that way, or like, I
Mm,
want to be able to hold a side freeze for 10 seconds. The more
mm,
specific, the better. And
yeah.
write them down and then check them off. And that just, you start to feel good checking off. So, like specific goals. The other thing I always tell people, especially if you don't grow up in if you grow up in a more remote area or like a small town like Santa Cruz, immerse yourself in the culture, and you can do it all online. Like go on YouTube and watch cool stuff. Unfollow celebrities on Instagram that are not amazing at dance, and refollow just like all the best dancers in the world, and make your whole feed inspiration. So
Dude.
yeah, follow more cool people. Make your social media like reflect who you want to see in the world. And dude, YouTube is just like every day someone's putting out the most amazing thing ever. Get on it. There's so
Yeah.
much, you'll get sucked in, and then it all seeps in through
Yeah.
osmosis.
Man, that's awesome. I asked you for one, you gave us several. That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, first one, be specific with your goal. Write it down, right? Check them off when you do it. Second thing, unfollow the ones that don't have what you want. Follow the artists that you do want. So those are awesome, awesome nuggets, man. David, thank you so much, man. I feel like we could talk for hours. For sure, I got to bring you back so we could chat more. You got tons of knowledge, and for sure those videos we gotta see them, and
Dude,
hopefully
we're gonna get it
put
going.
put that up for sure, man. Brother, thank you so much, man. I really had a great time. Hope you did too.
It's been an
Everybody else,
honor. Sage is the legend. If you don't, I'm telling you, if you don't know, he was there. He was there. He was there.
thank you, man. I can't wait to catch up with you again, and congratulations again on all the success that you have. And that is already your way, and there's more coming your way for sure.
Thank you
So,
so much.
guys, everybody that's joining us, thank you. Until next time, let's keep it funky. We out.
Adios.